Have you ever looked at a small, itchy patch on your mom or dad's skin? Maybe it was on their shoulder, their scalp, or behind their ear, and you just thought, oh, it's probably just dry skin, nothing to worry about? Maybe you reached for the lotion, gave it a little scratch. Maybe they even said, it's been there a while. It comes and goes. So you let it go. Life gets busy. They didn't complain much, so you assumed it was fine. But let me ask you something. What if that small, itchy spot, the one no one thought twice about, was actually trying to tell you something? Something your loved one's body couldn't say out loud. Something dangerous, something serious, something that, if caught early, could be treated, but if ignored, could change everything? What if I told you that in nearly 99% of cases, a certain type of itchy patch on the skin, especially in seniors, is linked to cancer when left untreated? And most people, they never even see it coming. I know that sounds scary, but here's the truth most people don't talk about. As we age, our bodies whisper warnings long before they scream. And those whispers, they can come in the form of a patch of flaky skin, a strange little bump, a new spot that doesn't go away. You might think it's just aging, dry air, or an allergy, but sometimes it's not just a rash. Sometimes it's not just eczema. Sometimes it's cancer beginning in silence. And what breaks my heart, most families only find out when it's already too late. When the itching turns to pain, when the spot starts to bleed, when a simple checkup turns into a life-altering diagnosis. But it doesn't have to be this way. You can know what to look for. You can catch it early. You can protect the people you love. Because when it comes to elderly care, it's the small things that make the biggest difference. In this video, we're going to walk through 5 subtle warning signs that older adults and their caregivers must never ignore. We're starting with that itchy patch. But the others? You may have never thought to connect them to serious illness. One of them appears in almost 99% of senior skin cancer cases when left untreated. And you won't believe how often it's overlooked. So stay with me till the very end. This could truly be life-saving. Comment, I'm here if you're watching to protect your aging parent, your grandparent, or even yourself. And if you want more practical insights like this to help care for the people who once cared for you, go ahead and subscribe to Elder Wisdom, because your knowledge could be their safety. Sign number 1, the persistent itchy spot that doesn't heal. I want to tell you about a message we got not long ago from a viewer named Daniel. His father, 87 years old, still active, still sharp, kept scratching the same spot on his scalp. Right near the top. It started small, a little flake here, a little dryness there. Daniel thought it was dandruff. His dad thought so too. They tried shampoos, creams, moisturizers, but the spot never really healed. In fact, it started to bleed sometimes, then it scabbed over, then came back again. Daniel said, I just figured it was part of getting older. He didn't complain much. Months passed. Then one day, during a routine checkup, a nurse practitioner noticed it and sent him straight to a dermatologist. Turns out, it wasn't dandruff, it wasn't eczema. It was basal cell carcinoma, a type of skin cancer that can grow slowly but still cause serious damage if ignored. Now, here's what you need to know. As we get older, our skin becomes thinner, more fragile. Healing takes longer. Bruises show up easier. But when a certain area of skin becomes persistently itchy, and it doesn't go away even after 2, 3, 4 weeks, that's not just aging, especially if that spot begins to crust over, scab, bleed, or get a little shiny or raised. That's when it's time to pay attention. Skin cancers in seniors like basal cell carcinoma, squamous cell carcinoma, and even melanoma don't always start as scary-looking growths. They often begin with something subtle, something ordinary, something easy to ignore. And that's where the danger lies, because the longer it's left alone, the deeper it grows. Not just into the skin, but into the tissue, the nerves, sometimes even the bone beneath. The most heartbreaking part? So many families think it's just dry skin. They say, "Oh, that's been there for years." Or, "It gets better sometimes, so I'm sure it's nothing." But nothing doesn't keep coming back. Nothing doesn't change shape or color. Nothing doesn't wake your loved one up at night because it itches so badly they can't sleep. So what can you do? Start simple. Take a photo of the spot, then take another one a week later. Compare. Look for any changes, whether it's getting bigger, darker, flakier, or just not healing. And if it's been more than 4 weeks without improvement, don't wait. Call the doctor, ask to see a dermatologist, push for an answer. It's not overreacting, it's protecting someone you love. Because when caught early, skin cancer is one of the most treatable forms of cancer out there. But when ignored, it can change everything. And while this sign is one of the most visible, some of the most dangerous signs are hidden deep inside, silent, subtle, and just as serious. Let's talk about the next one. Sign number 2, sudden fatigue or weakness. Let me tell you about a woman named Angela. She lived with her mother, Margaret, an 82-year-old who loved to cook, clean, and take care of her garden. Every morning, Margaret would sweep the porch, make her tea, and climb the stairs without a second thought. But one day, things changed. Angela noticed her mother pausing halfway up the stairs, then needing to sit down to catch her breath after folding laundry, then avoiding the stairs altogether. At first, they both brushed it off. "Maybe I didn't sleep well," Margaret said. "Must be the weather," she added another day. But the fatigue got worse. Margaret no longer had the energy to cook. She started skipping her morning walks, and Angela noticed something in her mother's eyes, a kind of quiet frustration, as though her body was failing her. And she didn't know why. Eventually, they went to the doctor. Routine blood work revealed severe anemia, but the real shock came later. Margaret's anemia wasn't from poor diet or aging. It was caused by internal bleeding from a slow-growing colon cancer. Now, this isn't to scare you, it's to wake you up to something most people miss. Cancer cells are greedy. They steal nutrients, they demand energy. And your body, especially an aging one, can't keep up. The result? Fatigue. Not just the kind where you need a nap, but the kind where a trip to the mailbox feels like a marathon, where tying shoes feels like lifting weights, where your loved one says, "I just don't feel like myself anymore." Here's the truth. Persistent fatigue is not normal. Not at 40, not at 60, not at 80. Yes, older adults naturally slow down. But when your parent, spouse, or grandparent is suddenly too tired to do the things they've always done, that's not just aging. That's a signal. Sometimes it's heart disease, sometimes it's anemia, and sometimes it's cancer working quietly in the background, draining life before anyone realizes it's there. The problem? We often dismiss it. We say things like, "They're just getting old," or "They're not as young as they used to be." But ask yourself, did this tiredness come on quickly? Is it getting worse instead of better? Is it stopping them from doing the basics, cooking, walking, dressing? If the answer is yes, don't let that go unnoticed. What can you do? Start with a conversation. Gently ask, "Do you feel more tired lately? Is it harder to do things that used to be easy?" Encourage a full checkup, especially blood work. Sometimes the answer is as simple as low iron or a vitamin deficiency. Other times, it's the first sign of something deeper. But you won't know unless you look. And early action can mean the difference between a simple treatment and something far more serious. And remember this, when energy begins to disappear, there's usually a second change that comes right after: the loss of appetite. But here's what most people don't realize. It's not just any loss of appetite that matters most. It's the kind that hides something much more dangerous. Let's talk about that next. Sign number 3, loss of appetite or taste. Let me tell you about Mr. Thomas. He was 79, still sharp as a tack, and every Sunday afternoon he'd ask for the same thing, a warm slice of apple pie. Didn't matter if it was homemade or store-bought, he just loved it. Then one day he stopped asking. At first his daughter thought it was nothing. Maybe he's watching his sugar, she guessed. Maybe his taste buds are just fading with age. But it wasn't just dessert. He started leaving food on his plate, pushed away breakfast, skipped lunch more often than not. Weeks passed. He lost weight. His clothes hung a little looser. And when he did eat, he'd say, "Food just doesn't taste the same anymore." Eventually, after a checkup and some blood work, the truth came out. Mr. Thomas had pancreatic cancer, quietly progressing in the background, disrupting his digestion, his hormones, and slowly turning off his appetite without anyone noticing at first. Here's what you need to know. Appetite doesn't vanish for no reason, especially in older adults. Cancer, especially cancers like pancreatic, liver, or stomach, can interfere with the very hormones that signal hunger. Sometimes the tumor blocks the way food moves through the gut. Other times it alters the way things taste. And sometimes, even before pain begins, the first warning sign is just that quiet loss of interest in eating. Now, we live in a world where appetite changes are brushed off. She's just picky. He doesn't like hospital food. They don't eat much anymore. It's part of getting old. But when someone who used to love food suddenly doesn't, when favorite meals go untouched, when even small snacks become too much, pay attention, especially if it lasts more than a few days, especially if they're losing weight, especially if you hear things like, "I'm not hungry." Food tastes off. "I feel full after a few bites." These aren't small things. Yet, what can you do? Start by offering smaller, nutrient-dense meals throughout the day. Not full plates, just little bites. Try smoothies, soups, soft foods packed with protein and healthy fats. Let them eat when they want, not on a strict schedule. But most importantly, track the pattern. Keep a simple notebook. What did they eat today? How much? Did they enjoy it? How did they feel after? If this lack of appetite sticks around for more than a week, don't wait. Talk to a doctor. Request a full workup. Ask questions about liver function, digestion, even cancer screening, because sometimes the loss of taste is the only thing the body can say when something much bigger is happening inside. And this change, this lack of nourishment, affects more than just weight. It touches strength, mood, immune response, and perhaps most visibly, mobility. And that's where we're heading next. When appetite disappears, energy soon follows. And when energy drops too low, even standing up from a chair can feel like climbing a mountain. Let's talk about what that looks like and why it's a sign you should never ignore. Sign number 4, unexplained weight loss or muscle shrinking. There's this memory I often think about. A woman named Sally reached out to share her story. She'd always been close to her grandfather. Sunday dinners, long walks, stories on the porch. He was the rock of the family. But one day she noticed something. His belt, which had always fit snug, was now pulled to the last hole. His favorite cardigan hanging off his shoulders. She joked gently, "You losing weight, Grandpa?" He laughed and said, "Nah, just moving around more. Staying busy, that's all." But she knew better. He wasn't eating more. He wasn't exercising more. And truthfully, he was moving less. Eventually, she convinced him to go in for a checkup. And what they found stopped her in her tracks. He had widespread cancer that had been silently eating away at him, 1 pound at a time. Let me tell you something important. When someone isn't trying to lose weight, but the scale keeps going down, or their clothes are looser, or you notice their shoulders look more bony, that's not normal. We tend to think of weight loss as a good thing, especially in today's culture. People say, "Oh, you look great," or "good for you." But in older adults, unintentional weight loss is one of the biggest red flags for serious health issues, including cancer. Now here's what's going on behind the scenes. Cancer cells grow quickly and they steal energy from the body. They ramp up the body's metabolism like an engine stuck in overdrive. They interfere with how food is digested, how nutrients are absorbed, and even if someone is eating the same amount, they might still lose weight. And even worse, they might lose muscle. This is what we call muscle wasting or sarcopenia. It doesn't just affect appearance, it affects strength, balance, and independence. Suddenly, someone who could walk to the mailbox now needs a walker. Someone who could cook a meal now struggles to lift a pan. Here's what to watch for. Clothes that suddenly fit differently. Rings that slip off more easily. Collarbones, shoulder blades, or ribs becoming more visible. Hands and legs looking thinner or shrunken. Complaints of weakness or feeling tired while doing basic tasks. Even a 5 to 10% weight loss over 6 months, that's just 8 to 15 pounds for many people, should set off an alarm. So what can you do? First, don't wait for a number on a scale. Look at the little things, how their pants fit, how they sit, how they move. Second, track their weight monthly. Same time of day, same clothes if possible. Make it a gentle routine. Third, if you notice the weight dropping and they're not trying to lose it, see a doctor immediately. Ask for lab work, imaging, full evaluations. Sometimes it's digestive issues, sometimes it's thyroid. And yes, sometimes it's cancer. But you'll never know unless you ask, unless you act. Unexplained weight loss isn't just about numbers. It's the body's silent cry for help. And if we're not paying close attention, we might miss it altogether. And now we come to the final sign. It's something we all do. Every single day, without thinking. It's as routine as brushing our teeth or making the bed. But when it changes, subtly, gradually, it can be one of the earliest signs that something in the brain or deep within the body is starting to go wrong. Let's talk about the most overlooked red flag of them all. Sign number 5, changes in bowel or bathroom habits. There's a story that still stays with me. A woman named Elena reached out, her voice thick with regret. Her mother had been quietly complaining of constipation, on and off, for months. She'd mention it casually after dinner or while folding laundry. Elena would say, "Maybe you need more fiber," or "Drink more water, Mom." They both shrugged it off. I mean, who wants to talk about bathroom habits, right? It feels awkward, private, but it didn't go away. Then came the cramps, then the pain. By the time they took it seriously, her mother had stage 3 colon cancer. Now, that family would give anything to go back. To ask one more question, to listen just a little closer. You see, your digestive system, it's like a messenger. It doesn't whisper. It speaks up, loud and clear when something's wrong. And in older adults, that voice is often ignored, brushed off as part of aging, just slowing down. But cancer in the colon, rectum, or even the stomach often starts with these small, quiet changes. Here's what to watch for. Constipation that lingers, even after changing diet or hydration. Stools that look thinner than usual, we're talking pencil thin. Sudden urgency, needing to run to the bathroom, going more or less often than usual. Blood in the stool, bright red or dark like tar. Persistent cramps, bloating, or a feeling of not being empty after a bowel movement. And let me be real with you for a second. Talking about poop isn't comfortable. Nobody wants to sit around the dinner table and discuss stool patterns. But this discomfort, it costs lives, because when we're too shy to talk about it, when we laugh it off, or say, it's just the way it is, that's how things get missed. That's how disease quietly advances. Now, don't misunderstand me. Not every bathroom change means cancer. It could be IBS, dehydration, medication side effects. But the point is, don't guess. Ask, check, investigate. If your loved one is suddenly in the bathroom 3 or 4 times a night, if they're avoiding meals to avoid bloating, if they wince when sitting down or standing up, don't ignore it. One of the best tools I've seen caregivers use is what I call a bathroom journal. Simple. 1 sheet of paper. You jot down the basics, how often they go, what they mention, any pain, any changes. It's not invasive, it's respectful, and it can give a doctor exactly what they need to find the issue before it becomes life-altering. Because at the end of the day, this isn't just about stools or scales or skin. It's about presence. Being present with our parents, our grandparents, our aging spouses, so we don't miss the small cries for help. So we catch the whisper before it becomes a scream. These 5 signs, they're not just symptoms. They're opportunities, moments where you, as a child, a caregiver, a partner, can change the outcome. We don't get to stop time, but we can give our loved ones more time. More time for birthdays, for sunsets, for laughing over coffee, for memories still waiting to be made. And it starts with paying attention. We'll wrap things up in just a moment, but before we do, there's one thing I need you to hear. Because knowledge is power, but only when we use it. It's scary, isn't it? To think that something as small as an itchy patch on the skin, or a missed meal, or a slower walk to the kitchen, could actually be a sign of something much bigger. It's even scarier when it involves someone you love, your mom, your dad, a grandparent who helped raise you, someone who used to chase you around the backyard, who now needs help up the stairs. These conversations, they're hard. It's hard to say, "Hey, Mom, I noticed you've been sleeping a lot lately." Or, "Dad, your pants look looser. Have you been eating okay?" We don't want to worry them. We don't want to overstep. But silence can be costly. Now, I want you to pause for a moment. This isn't about fear. This is about empowerment. You didn't watch this video to feel overwhelmed. You watched it because you care. Because something inside of you wants to be informed, to be proactive, not reactive. That's the most powerful gift you can give someone you love. Your attention, your concern, your willingness to act. You now have the tools. You have the knowledge. You can recognize the red flags, and most importantly, you know not to ignore them. So, what can you do right now? Call them, even if it's just a short chat. Ask how they're feeling. Ask about that rash, that appetite change, that tiredness they laughed off last week. Go check in. Take that photo of the itchy patch. Book that routine screening they keep pushing off. Drive them to that doctor's appointment, even if it's probably nothing. Because your voice, your concern, might be the reason something is caught in time. And here's the most beautiful truth. There is always hope. Cancers found early can often be treated completely. Even those caught later can be managed with the right support, the right team, and unwavering love. Your involvement could lead to more time, more holidays, more shared stories, more chances to say, "I love you." So let's not wait for the signs to become symptoms we can't ignore. Let's do something while we still can. Let's take a moment and quickly recap the signs we've covered today. That itchy spot that won't heal, especially if it crusts, bleeds, or doesn't go away. Sudden fatigue or weakness, a noticeable drop in energy that disrupts daily life. Loss of appetite or taste, when food no longer excites them or they begin skipping meals. Unexplained weight loss or muscle shrinking, when clothes get looser and strength fades. Changes in bathroom habits, whether it's constipation, thin stools, or urgency. If any of these sound familiar, don't wait. These signs are the body's way of waving a flag, asking for attention. Now, I want to hear from you. Have you noticed any of these signs in someone you care about? Was there one today that truly surprised you? Drop a comment. Share your story. You never know. Your experience might help someone else who's going through the same thing. This community, Elder Wisdom, is here for exactly that. To hold space for these conversations. To make awareness gentle. To make caregiving powerful. And to remind us all that aging is not a decline. It's a sacred chapter. If this helped you today, please consider giving it a like. Share it with someone, a friend, a sibling, a caregiver who needs to hear this. And hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, because every week we bring you real stories, real tools, and real support for the people who raised us, for the people we love, for you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for caring. And thank you for choosing to be the kind of person who notices. Stay kind, stay watchful, and I'll see you in the next video.